Hello everyone. Today's guest has a different speech pattern that I think it may be helpful to use the closed captions that I've created. So please enjoy the episode. Hello and welcome to the podcast. I can totally do that. I'm Alena Skinner, your host. This is the podcast where we explore careers and opportunities for people with disabilities from the perspective of people with disabilities. Today I would like to introduce to you Garrett D. Anders. He did an internship in Washington, D.C. under Representative Finstad.
Hi,
Hi, Garrett. Thank you so much for joining us.
thank you.
Garrett, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so my name's Garrett. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah, I recently wrapped up my last four internships on the Hill. I did two in Minnesota, one in Alabama, and one in Washington State. And my disabilities stems from to- stroke. I had bilateral basal ganglia infarct, which affects my speech and ambulation.
So can you tell us a little bit about the last part that you said?
Yeah, so I know it's about four. So it's stroke I had was is called bilateral basal ganglia infarct. So it affects my speech and ambulation. And so even though I had this when I was 8 months old, I will struggle with the effects of it after effects for the rest of my life.
Yeah, thank you for telling us about that. It's really amazing that you did an internship, and I found you in a very unique way. When I went to DC, I actually saw your walker, and I had asked about it, and they had said,
Backwards a lot. Yeah.
"Yeah, because we have the same one." Um, so when I had reached out about your name and contact information, I'm sure they probably thought I was a little crazy because I was like, "Hey, I have a podcast.
We do the people that call in that office are already whack. So you're fine.
That's hilarious. Well, I'm so glad that you a- a- um gave me or gave them your email address so I could connect with you. Because I'm very excited to learn about this. Um, because it's something that I have an interest in. So, do you have before doing these internships, does your college degree have anything to do any crossover between the internships?
So yes, my degree is in. I haven't completed my degree. I have not. So I'm still working on it, but it is political science, at least for now. And so, yeah, it does have some crossover, but also, yeah, I think this is what you're asking. I did get 6 credit hours for one of my internships on the hill.
That's awesome. I am very interested in doing a political science and also an internship. It's always wonderful when you can get credit out of something that's super fun. Um, so we talked about this a little bit, but can you expand on how you first got interested in doing your internship?
Definitely. So I've always been interested in politics. I served on this student council in like sixth grade. So I've always been interested in politics and political matters. I didn't even think it was possible, but I found this site where you can reach out to staffers. It's actually not up now because I wasn't supposed to know about it. But that site where it lists to all the staffers' names. Yeah, I just started reaching out to offices, and it's funny because I'm a Republican. I believe that that's better for people like us. But I didn't understand the parties, so I reached out to both parties at first and just talked to like Tapper's names and the senators and representatives I was interested in.
That's that's awesome that you just reached out directly to them. Um what was and I apologize, but I misunderstood the very last thing that you said.
Yeah, so I one thing I have learned and is there are a few nice people that will help you in no matter what, but for the vast majority of offices and people, you have to reach out to all the staff to so that people will start talking and put pressure on the person that makes the internship decision. And that's what I do with all four of my offices.
Got it. Thank you for re-explaining that. Um, so when you went through, so you didn't go through the college at all, but no. Okay.
No, ma'am.
Okay. That's that's but you were still able to get college credit for it, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I understand. That's very interesting and I love your approach to kind of just get in it and do it because I think like you had mentioned that's really important for people with disabilities is you might have 10 yeses or I'm sorry, you might have
Yeah.
10 no's and one yes, but you got to work hard enough to get the yes. Um unfortunately sometimes because that
Yeah.
often involves some more work that we didn't necessarily sign up for. So, when thinking back to maybe your first internship, when did you realize the moment of I can totally do that?
Oh, my first day, I didn't think it was real until my first day, until I actually did it. I did not realize I heard so it's always important for people to take risks even when it's uncomfortable, because something I always think about is, okay, what's the alternative, right? What's the alternative was I go I just go back to college. It kind of had nothing, but with DC, it gave me an opportunity to really explore myself, improve to the community, both mine and DC. Oh, I can totally do that.
I love that. I you make such a great point of taking risks and also being like, what's the alternative? Like, I could go back and have nothing, or I could at least try this experience and have something to gain from it. Even if you tried it and you said, hey, I really couldn't make this work out, at least you tried it and you had that experience.
There were times when I put something on there.
I'm sorry, where you what?
There were times when I was like, maybe not, but I came out stronger and I put
Okay.
something on, and I ended up loving it. So put something on hard.
I'm I'm so glad, and definitely there are times that I appreciate you saying there were times that you were like, maybe should I really do this? I don't know. But I'm so glad that you stuck with it and enjoyed it, and yeah, I think that's like really amazing of you to talk about the like nervousness, but also talk about like the experience you've gained from it. Why do you feel like it's important to have people with disabilities represented while doing internships?
Yeah, well, internships. I wasn't too young when I did my first. I was only 19. I had only completed one semester of college, but usually internships lead directly into actual jobs, and we need to influx of people like us in the workforce, because there's not enough flexibility and whatnot right now in the workforce. So it's very important for people like us to do internships, yeah, so that we can prove ourselves enough to get that job or job offer.
I love that, and I think you make amazing points of there's not enough people with disabilities in the workforce. A, internships give you experience, and B, it gives you a look into maybe like what your future job would be. And so, and obviously like you had mentioned, it's really great for people with disabilities to kind of prove themselves to future uh
Right.
to future employers. So I'm interested, can you tell me what a day would look like when you were doing your internship?
Yeah, so that's like what I love about the hill is every office is like a separate family, and within that family, interns have different jobs. So each internship looks different, but I would walk to work. I lived right on the hill, once at Heritage, once with this company named Washington Interns to the housing, both great. properties. So I would walk into work and then it very day to day, like using it to answer phones, but I didn't really do that. So I would do a lot of writing stuff. I would write emails to constituents in my Washington state office. I in a fence that I would write that I would help write letters to constituents and proofread the letters that he wrote to constituents and Peter Tubber, my first boss, I would really focus on memos and internal scheduling, which I loved. They would send me to emails like home Monday was like meetings, schedule meetings, schedule which I love. So it really varied from office to office. But yeah, that was a day in my life as an intern.
I love that, and it's I'm so impressed that you described uh your internship offices like families. I think that's such a wonderful
No,
analogy.
they were good. They
I
were really one of my best friend now. I met in my second office. He's a great one of the two, but yeah, he's amazing.
that's that's awesome to hear that you had such a great experience too, because I would guess, if I had no experience, or if I like, because I have no experience in this, I would guess that you would face a little bit of like pushback from the other interns. And I don't know if you've experienced that at all, but I'm glad to hear that it was overall positive.
Yeah, so usually offices have no more than three interns, and three of the four offices were like that. But with my second Alabama office, there were big groups of interns, and of course, then people have personalities and whatever, but um, yeah, for the most part, everyone was agree, even with the big intern cohorts.
That's amazing. Did you have I'm curious, did you have like um places or events that you would go to that was like purely just all of the interns?
So, um, I was supposed to, but I I really enjoyed my first two offices and the staffers, so I would hang out with them. I love that dynamic. My second office, they really leave me in with the staffers and this group of help staffers, so I hung out with them a lot. Yeah, but uh, of course, you're supposed to network with other interns, but I just wasn't feeling it. I would, I, I was kind of like, why would I network with people in the same boat as me? But that's bad.
You said what did you say? You said why would I network with people that
No,
what?
like if there's 10 interns going in for one job. why would I talk to the other nine interns? Why would I talk to some staffers or something? But that's kind of mean, so.
Yeah, I totally get what you're saying though of like why why would I talk to them if they're all kind of going for the same like we're all
Um,
going for the same thing.
uh,
And I think or maybe you can talk about this like when well, my first question for you is you really enjoyed your first two offices and can you say who those were?
yeah, yeah, I can. So sorry, I'm getting like excited. Um, passing out. So the first office, the first couple offices. Oh, I'm so thankful for them because I had nothing. I didn't even have a resume. I had nothing. I was just reaching out to people and they just took a huge chance on me. So the first one was representative Pete Stauber of the great state of Minnesota. I loved. Oh, you're from Minnesota, right?
I am.
I love this thing about it. Some of the people so kind. His office was great. His chief of staff is one of my favorite people ever on the hill ever. And then my second office, I kind of went back home. So I was student at the University of Alabama and he represents North Alabama. His name is Congressman Robert B. Asshole.
All right. Well, as a Minnesotan, I would say I'm glad you enjoyed your Minnesota offices. Um,
I love him. The delegations so kind, so connected.
that Minnesota nice is working, right?
Yeah, hell yeah.
I love that. And that you bring up another good point of you said like you didn't have a resume, you didn't have experience. So I would say to the viewers, why not just take a chance? Because you never know who will take a chance on you.
That, definitely, and again, those first conversations, emails, where I basically said, hey, this is me, explained a lot about me, a lot of what I went through. Those conversations, first emails, first interviews were very uncomfortable. I was hearing it all with a person I had never met before, but I thought about an alternative. I thought about going back to the University of Alabama where I had really nothing. So it was worth it to me to just grind through it and have those uncomfortable conversations. And if I had any advice for your viewers, I would just say have those uncomfortable conversations. I know it's weird now, but it will pay off later. And even if it doesn't, what do you have to lose?
That is super um wonderful. I think you make so many great points. You're so much fun to interview and you have a lot of life lessons just from an internship. Like you haven't even started you haven't even like gone into the workforce yet in a in a job. So I'm excited to interview you in a couple years when you have a job and you've
Yes,
um
yes, do it.
gotten more experience. I would um yeah, because you having this insight now um is going to help you hopefully get a better like or get the jobs that you want.
Definitely, that's what I'm hoping. Yeah, I would love to do something with the Minnesota delegation. There's one competitive seat in obviously the Senate race. So if Republicans eke that out, I would love to work with them.
And just to clarify, you're saying there's one um
Like, yeah, like, oh, the Andy Craig is running for the Senate, so he is vacating her seat typically more competitive, so it can go either way. If it goes my way, I would love to work for whoever occupies that seat. And then, if my party were to win the Senate race in Minnesota, I would also love to work for them.
got it. Thank you for clarifying that. That that makes a lot of sense. And I'm you have such like goals and I love that. Um and you're so knowledgeable about what you want to do and the experience that you've gained positively from your internships. What and this may be a hard question. What was your favorite part about the internship?
I I love questions. So my favorite part was meeting everyone. So I'm really excited to answer this question, obviously. So my favorite part was just to get to meet people. I really struggled in high school. I hated my one semester of college and prior to this. So I just wanted to meet people like so many of your viewers of prospective viewers. I just wanted to live life, so I went to this house with 15 other people. They were great. I love hanging. I just love being around people close to my own age to hang out with. Yeah, sometimes, as I call them, the normies, take that for granted, and I just love hanging out with people in that first house. Then my my second office, that I I'm like best friends with this tapper now. I love him. He's great. He's like my mentor. He was as a host tapper assistant, but not anymore. Anyway, I love him, and he got me involved with his church friends, and that was great. And then back back step a few seconds. My first office was so great because the person A Pete's son has special needs. So that office was just amazing with me and just accommodating me in everything. Like I said, Pete, Mr. Thomas Chief is the best person ever. I hope he runs for office one day, but he's the greatest.
And
Um,
and and
yeah.
and who was that?
um, her name is Desiree. Anyway, Pete's Thomas Chief of Staff. So, like how I explain Chief of Staff is the CEO of the office, but he was really all my offices were great. Like you got my number or email from Derek. He was amazing. The everyone was just awesome. Or most people in a lot of my offices, they were great.
I'm, you had such an amazing experience, and you can find like joy in almost everything that you've done. And we are very similar in the fact that we just want to connect with people. It's really hard as a person with a disability sometimes to
Yeah.
connect with people. So being able to connect with people in that way is really amazing in the fact that you enjoyed it so much.
Yeah.
So we talked about your favorite part. Um, I'm curious, was there any part of your internship that disappointed you, or maybe that you weren't expecting?
Yeah, definitely. So, like I said, people were great, but having a roommate kind of sucks. So, I've never had a roommate, but having a roommate in DC kind of sucked. Work-wise, I mean, the first couple offices were great, but my third office really perked me. Yeah, that's great, but I was also like, I'm not used to this. Um, yeah, it work is work. So it would get draining, it would get grueling, not really as an intern, but sometimes it also, since we're talking about people with disabilities, it was really hard to hear it fumbling over and over and over again, and not being able to help the other interns or the staffers pick it up. So that was hard.
Yeah, um, that I can imagine that can be really hard. And from my experience, like when things are getting done that I can't necessarily physically help with, that can be really hard to watch. I'm glad that you acknowledge the difficult parts. I also have a question for you in the fact you talked about walking sometimes it's being draining. How how did you keep your stamina or your momentum up enough to keep participating and keep doing what you needed to do as an intern throughout the day?
Yeah, so it was hard as I said some days are harder than others. But I've learned to embrace the grind, embrace the loneliness, embrace the hunt. Yeah, I know that's easier said than done, but kind of that for you, because everyone's under, at least for me, I feel everyone's underestimating me. Everyone's looking down upon me, so it can't get much worse. So use that, hope and tiredness and unwillingness to kind of fuel your motivation. One thing I've learned is this summer I made great friends, but other than that, even after this summer, people, some have said that people have gone away. You're, you being a person with disabilities, your um your motivation has to really come from within because our future is so uncertain. You don't know what comes next, so there's no motivation really to draw from. So you have to keep hope within yourself. And yeah. What was the question? I'm sorry.
No, that's an amazing answer. You are such a motivational speaker. I love it. Um, yeah, I guess we talked about kind of the well, actually, based on your answer, I don't even remember what the question I asked was. Um, but I think that's a wonderful answer. Oh, I asked about like how you keep your motivation and your stamina to keep going throughout the day. So I think that's wonderfully well said. How do you ask for help in a professional manner?
Yeah, somehow I like how it was like do the best you can, follow everything, but if you can't, you really have no other option but to help. And it will be awkward, but they're kind of required to help, so it can't get much worse. So if you're struggling with something, always be kind, but don't be afraid to ask someone for help, or usually go directly to your supervisor because that'll piss him off if you go around your supervisor. So go to your direct supervisor and just say, hey, I can't do this, or hey, I need this. And they'll most likely require to help you, so they will. My experience with that has been great.
Yeah, and I hope that if they do run into a little bit of trouble, I hope that people are able, like you've been talking about for this episode, to keep confidence and to something that I love that you've been saying is it's gonna be awkward. We can't avoid the awkwardness, so we might as well just embrace it. So I think that's super powerful because as humans, being awkward is a feeling that we don't like. But once we get past the awkwardness, um, the gems and the experiences that wait on the other side are greater than we ever could have imagined.
Absolutely. Yeah, you just have to keep that in mind, right? Like, okay, these next couple hours or even couple of days might be grueling, but what can come out of that is much, much greater.
Yeah, I, you've brought up some good points about like perseverance through the hard, and you've given us some great advice. So my last question for you would be, what advice would you give to somebody with a disability who wants to pursue an internship?
Yeah, well, you have to be persistent. If it's a congressional internship I was taught in your area or state, that's not what I did, but I like to make it hard on myself. So to make it easier for you, I was taught in your home state as we went over Minnesota's great. It has an equal delegation, so we're pretty equal 6-4. So whatever party affiliation you have, Minnesota's great. In most all the offices in Alabama are great too. So if you're saying congressional internship, I would definitely start in your state. Yeah, again, you just gotta be persistent because they will do everything in their power to kind of make you follow a normal process. And it's up to you to kind of stand out and make waves where you can because they aren't going to make accommodations when there are 1,000 other applicants unless you make an impact on them. So what I always tried to do was not fill out an application, but get them on Zoom, get them on a Zoom call. And I have a PowerPoint where I explain my story and my skill sets. Yeah, obviously it didn't work out a lot of times, but it worked out enough to where I got 4 internships. Yeah, another offer. Shout out to Michelle Fischbach and her team. She was my fifth offer. She was great. Anyway, back to your question. I think that you just really have to convince them to get on a phone call or a Zoom call with you and just tell them a little bit about yourself.
I love that. And you've shown us throughout this podcast that it is really important to fight for things that you want to do. I love that you had a presentation that you would show. When you talked about like not filling out the application, um, the words that came into my mind was, "What a rebel!" Like, don't follow everybody else's path. Make your own. So in that circumstance, it works out really great for you, and also understanding that like, and you kind of brought this up too, is that you may not you may get a no, and that's okay, and keep going.
Yeah. And what I would love to add is they aren't necessarily bad people for not wanting for guiding you to an application. They're not gonna change the rules for you just like that. Where there's 1,000 more applicants dying for this job, they want to have someone who can do their job. So it's your job, our job to kind of make them see the value in hiring someone like us.
Yeah, very well said. Is there anything else that you would like to say before we end the episode?
And now, again, I met some great people, live my life. I could not be more thankful for my time in DC. Thank you so much for having me and reaching out and doing this. You are amazing. You are headed for big things. I love what you're doing. Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you for coming and thank you for answering my
Oh,
very
so I'm sorry. So we went through all four of my bosses except for one, Mrs. Kathy McMorris Rogers was my third boss. She was amazing. She was retiring, so it was kind of different, but nonetheless, so amazing. She's awesome. She has done a ton for this community. Yeah, I just wanted to sneak that in. Sorry for interrupting.
No, you're totally fine. I so appreciate that you are so grateful to the people who have given you experiences. I think that's really important. Is no matter who you are or what you're trying to accomplish, making sure that you're grateful for the people who have given you those experiences. Thank
Yeah.
you so much for answering my very weird email. I love this episode, and I'm so excited for people to see it and learn from you because you truly have so much wisdom and so much experience.
Definitely. Well, again, thank you for having me. Go Gophers! Go Gophers! It's gonna be a hard game this week, but nonetheless, roll that boat, roll the boat.
I love that. Garrett, you have shown us that you can totally do that, and so can others. Thank you for coming today and sharing your experience. This is your host, Alena Skinner, saying thank you to all of you for your time. Join us join us for the next podcast. I can totally do that.
I hope you've enjoyed this podcast episode. If you did, please click the like button below, subscribe, and share. If you want more content from the I Can Totally Do That podcast, follow on all social media platforms.